Lost Cause Ranch, and today, that's right, back on the LS3 Defender. Last time you saw this was when we mocked up our custom dashboard utilizing cardboard and our CNC laser. This dashboard's for a Land Rover, not to be confused with anything else. We left off with our own little mock-up HVAC unit. This was representative of a Vintage Air G2 Mini. An all-in-one heater core, evaporator, blower motor, climate control unit. And the other day, we got a package. So we got our part we needed for the Defender. This is supposed to fit inside the dash. I mean, I think I can fit inside this. So this may be a problem. Hopefully it's just some poor space management in packaging. Otherwise, we may have to rethink the whole making our own dash thing. Well, that's much better. I think we stand a fighting chance. This, I think we can handle. I love that they bothered putting this in for packaging. That was definitely gonna do it. And now that we have the actual mock-up unit from Vintage Air, you can see what I was talking about in the last video, where our cardboard box was the maximum outer dimensions. You can see we'll be gaining some space below the blower motor here because it tucks up, and then from the side profile you can see the slant of the dash should work well with this unit. If you didn't catch the last video, in our Defender we are adding air conditioning. There's several different ways of doing it, and this Vintage Air unit is the way we're going to attempt. This is a pretty neat unit, and it is an all-in-one climate control setup designed around hot rod vehicles. What we have here is a lightweight mock-up box. It's better to spend $60 than $1,000 before you know it's gonna work. But this unit will house the blower motor, and inside would be the heater core and evaporator, and all the actuators to operate the vents and spit the air out at the right temperature to the right place. These would be our outlets, and we would run ductwork to where the vents need to be, and we have several different vent options from several different companies. And on the control side, Vintage Air has its own control heads, and we can pick something and modify it to fit the Defender look. So this is the big sticking point on whether or not our custom dash will work and why we are doing a custom dash to begin with. The typical add-on air conditioning for the classic Defenders is a big separate air conditioning unit that takes up much of your leg space on the passenger side, along with the vents being below the dash. So anyone taller than myself gets a little cramped, and we're trying to avoid that. So I guess our first step will be to clearance that area there and see if all that work with cardboard was for nothing. This could very well throw a wrench in our entire dash concept. Getting a little tired of using this guy. But more on that later in the video. It's been a couple weeks since I've seen you guys. There's been a lot of things going on. But we'll touch on that after we clearance some things and hopefully have some climate control. We're also hoping to have some climate control in the shop too. So our design has most of that Vintage Air box sitting behind the center stack here with a little bit coming out to the passenger side. You know what's much easier than that? Using the laser. I suppose we'll have to disassemble this some. Now I just need to figure out how to hold it into place. So I guess being we're already using cardboard boxes, we may as well use some more packaging material to wedge this guy in there. So that is a big success. That unit actually tucks in pretty nice behind there. We got plenty of room to route our vents. Probably gonna have to come out a touch on the center stack to make everything work the way it's supposed to. We can slim down on the lower side. We have plenty of room below the box, so somewhere right along here we can start coming back with that, which will slim that down quite a bit. We'll raise this lip a touch so we cover up the blower motor, but our pass-through bulkhead vents will remain nice and clear. So our cardboard proof of concept worked out. So we'll just fine tune it, and I'm gonna have to build a couple tools to form the dash and have the radiuses, radii, what the plural of radius of the various pieces so it'll look like a nice factory finished piece. But like I said earlier, it's been a couple weeks since I've seen you guys. Been a little busy here at the ranch. As it turns out, winter comes every year, and every year I'm not prepared for it. But it's getting cold around here, and pretty soon the shop will not be that enjoyable to be in. So in comes some insulation. Originally, when I built the building, I was planning on doing spray foam, and I've been penciling it out for the past couple months, and I cannot make that make sense to me. I'd like to have spray foam, but ultimately I couldn't make it make financial sense in my situation. The other issue with that is I kind of jumped the gun on working out of here. With getting rid of the other shop and trying to downsize all into one place, we ended up moving a lot of stuff in here, and it's going to be much easier to work around all the stuff while putting in the insulation myself. We probably would have had to empty this place back out. So partially my fault, partially economics, but either way, we need it warm in here. So that's been a bit of a project. Also had some other things occupying my time. Kind of neat. Yeah, that's an airplane. Went with a buddy to help him pick that up. And once again, that Amazon winch on the front of the LR4 has been getting a workout. As it turns out, Land Rovers are more reliable than some tractors. The contractor LR4 is back in action. One could say it was quite a toasty ride home. This thing is the most useful vehicle I have ever owned. So inside the LR4, we have 28-foot 2x4s, 10 32-foot rolls of 15-inch insulation, 5 rolls of 24-inch insulation, and a 4-foot by 100-foot roll of radiant barrier, and some joint compound. But I sent Ted a picture of this, and he's like, that has got to be the most used LR4 ever. We have hauled quite a bit with this thing. Time to unload it into the shop so we can finish up what is another disaster that Joe has created for himself. Apparently I never learned order of operations. This would have been easier before we stuffed the place full. Well, that's nice. Cheap plastic. So we successfully made a pile of toothpicks. We're gonna use these as furring strips. So those are just 2x4s ripped down. I could buy 2x2 furring strips at Menards, but they're only like 30 cents less expensive than a 2x4, and we get 2 out of a 2x4. Seems smarter to do that. Plus we make some oil dry. And she hasn't quite completely given up on me. We got Sasha still out here checking in on the progress and making sure we're doing better with our safety glasses. This is a lot more time-consuming process than I would have ever thought. All the random stuffing and insulation behind the post and whatnot takes way longer than I thought. I will say, this purchase has been invaluable. Way better than dragging an air hose around. This whole insulation thing has been one of those projects that you think is going to take like 2 days. But we are about 2 weeks in at this point. I mean, it's not like I actually worked on it for 2 weeks straight. But with everything going on, it's been sporadic. It's starting to get there. We still got a pile left and a pile to pick up. But it is interesting how different the shop appears space-wise when we knock out the horizontal girts from view. It now looks taller, being the insulation is running vertical. It's kind of like horizontal versus vertical stripes when you're wearing them on clothes. I can't remember which one does which, but they do something. One's slimming and one's not. Vertical insulation makes the shop feel taller. Still got too much stuff though. The big time-consuming part has been these corners with those diagonal braces, working around those guys with the framing and the insulation and getting it tucked behind. It's been a little bit of a chore. So in lieu of the spray foam, we are doing fiberglass bats, and that will be topped with a radiant barrier, and then we are still going to finish the walls 8 feet up. It is getting awful warm in here now. We're like a quarter of the way through. Okay, we're like a eighth of the way through. But with that being said, appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you subscribing. I'll let you know how all this pans out. But we got more on the Defender soon, along with the story behind all this mess. Like I said, I'm the dumbest person I know.